cuerpo alegría Macarena, que tu cuerpo es para dar la alegría y cosas buenas. Dale a tu cuerpo alegría Macarena, Macarena. Dale a tu cuerpo alegría Macarena, que tu cuerpo es para dar la alegría y cosas buenas. Dale a tu cuerpo alegría Macarena.
Welcome back, everybody, to Belize Talk Radio. And right before I cut you off, because we had to go to commercials, which, you know, those happen, we were getting ready to tell everybody about the new menu that's coming in. And so tell us what you're adding to the new menu, because what you already have on the menu is delicious.
You know, we talked about obviously utilizing the local ingredients from the farmer's market next door, from all the free-range, cattle and lamb and everything. The pork here is exquisite, as you know.
It's
in Belize.
exquisite.
So about utilizing all that's so readily available to us. And then we decided to make Fuego. You know, when you're starting to conceptualize a restaurant, you have various degrees or various ways you can approach it. You can say, you know what, we want to do white tablecloth and fine dining, or we want to do fast food, or so when we decided what Fuego was going to be, we wanted to try to make it sort of appropriate to San Ignacio. What is San Ignacio? San Ignacio is this sort of bustling little town that's growing quickly, where people have all this fun energy, and it's so eclectic. There's so many. It's a melting pot of cultures, and I know you hear that phrase a lot, but I mean, San Ignacio literally is.
It is
a melting pot of cultures, and everybody just gets along. It's such a wonderful little place. So we tried to create a restaurant that was sort of reflective of that. So we didn't take the food too seriously. We didn't do fine dining. We didn't do tablecloths. What we tried to do is we said, let's take all local materials, local ingredients, and show where you can make the ordinary extraordinary. That's why we used, you know, the zinc roofing at the bar. We use the sheet metal. We use the clothespins as the napkin holders.
Oh, that's so cute. It's just precious.
And we tried to show where you can put what is Belizean, or what we've become accustomed to in Belize, and really present it in a spectacular way. And we approach the food the same way, but this new menu is just fun. It's a fun little menu where you take chicken and have fun with it. We have a basket called a street basket that's got gizzards and chicken feet in it, and the locals will love it.
Yeah.
So it's about not taking ourselves too seriously, but showing that we can make the ordinary extraordinary.
So I know that one of my favorite things that you have is the molasses pork chops.
Yeah, but again, that's, you know, the rum culture here in the northern part of Belize, as some of you will know, is that we grow sugar cane, and we have a rum, as the rest of the Caribbean, in most cases in Central America even, there's a rum culture in northern Belize, and we have the molasses and the sugar and the coffee now. So we do a molasses and coffee glazed 2-inch free-range pork chop. That's just exquisite.
It is exquisite.
Yeah.
And you know, when I read that on the menu the very first time I ever tried it, which was a long time when you first opened, and you had me at coffee. You had me at coffee. But then molasses, you know, I'm all about that too. So, and then the pork, you did say, is absolutely exquisite in this country. And I actually have a friend of mine who is a vegetarian, but she eats the bacon in Belize.
Yeah.
She says, I can't miss it.
Even that we're utilizing. What we do now is we're trying to butcher now our own meat, and we become a little more, I hate to use the word sophisticated because that's so not Belize, but we become a little more sophisticated, for lack of a better word. So we're starting to process our own meat, and now we're using things like pork belly and things that you've seen and maybe in the first world now that have become very popular, the Food Network culture.
Yes.
But now we're doing that here, and the pork is just exquisite. I mean, it tastes like every day is Christmas here because it tastes like Christmas ham. So that's a special part of our menu. And then to ignore the seafood, you know, one of the things that makes Belize so incredibly interesting as a destination, as you know, is that we're the only English-speaking Central American country in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
I mean, so that summarizes how, and by the way, we're the size of Maine. So that summarizes how interesting the cuisine can be. When you're starting to draw, for example, tonight our special was red snapper from the reef, probably caught 24 hours ago. It's fresh, it's amazing. So you have the seafood, you have the pork, and wonderfully enough is the fact that even the local butchers, there's a local butcher here called Running W. And Running W now is starting to raise their own Black Angus.
I know, it's wonderful.
So all of a sudden now you have free-range Black Angus ribeye on our menu for the first time I've ever put any local steak on any of my menus. And it's exquisite.
It's amazing. I know when I first had come here, you know, many years ago and moved, actually coming from, you know, a background of restaurants and barbecue restaurants, so that's meat, right?
Right, of course.
I'd order the beef and I'd be like, it's different, it's different. And so I'd be like, but the pork is tremendous. But then when Running W did the, you know, the Angus, I was like, amen, I'm in heaven.
So now you have the pork, you have the seafood, you have all the fruits and vegetables, obviously, from the local farmers, the subsistence farmers here. And you start to see now where, why not? What's the next logical step? Is for us to start to create these cathedrals for all this interesting food and all this great food, and start to present them in wonderful ways. And then you start to talk about the bar, which is obviously a mojito and margarita bar. Everything's shaken. Everything, you know, you have everything from green tea mojitos to watermelon mojitos and orange mojitos. And again, everything is drawn from what we've become accustomed to here. And you start to talk about great food, great drink, and is there anything else that matters really?
Great company, great company.
Yeah, so it starts to become a complete conversation. And I think that's what we set out to do, is we set out to say, let's make these downtowns the destination. You know, let's make the resorts a great place to stay while you're visiting San Ignacio, and not the other way around. You know?
Yeah, it's a very appropriate way to say that. And I know that because, well, one, there's a lot of expats that have moved here, and there's a lot of locals that have been looking for something different to dine and to have, you know, a meal, and to be able to go out and have an exquisite meal at a very, very, very fair price. Yeah. I did say very. It really is for
when you start
the
to
value.
Divide, when you start to divide, obviously, the currency by two, which makes this so, I mean, Belize is the most, let's be honest, is the most North American friendly country there is outside of North America, because everything's 2 to 1. The exchange, everybody speaks English.
It's 2 to 1 with the currency.
2 to 1 to the currency. So everything works. It's so easy. It's an hour and 45 minutes outside Miami. We have now direct flights from every major U.S. gateway.
It's phenomenal. Yeah. Okay, so now I'm being tempted, you know, it's kind of like the squirrel thing, you know, your attention's drawn. I am smelling coffee behind me. Yeah. So, you know, I'm all about the coffee, and so I really hope you're making that for me. Would you mind? I would love it. I like milk.
Leticia is one of our baristas, and one of the things we do in this shop is that this is called a Treatery. This is actually next door to Fuego in the Welcome Center in downtown San Ignacio. And the idea here was to create symbiosis, was to give you a great meal, great drink next door, but then you could transition and have your dessert and your coffee here. So it makes for this wonderful experience all in downtown San Ignacio. Well, what we did with the bean here, which of course you know the bean is what's most important, is we're next door to some of the best coffee in the world.
Yes.
Belize, unfortunately, does not have the elevations you need to grow great coffee. We know that. It doesn't have the soil you need. But next door in Guatemala is some of the best coffee in the world. So what we did was we went into, we have a coffee farmer, not farmer, sorry, buyer, if you will, in Mark, who's a local character here around town who takes his coffee very seriously. He's actually married to an American woman that's from Seattle.
Coffee!
So Mark takes his coffee very seriously, and he buys the coffee bean for us. But Mark went into Antigua, Guatemala next door, and went and met with the local farmer co-ops And what Mark did was he sourced the most perfectly round coffee bean you can find from the highest elevation in Guatemala. Similar, by the way, comparable to the elevation of Blue Mountain coffee in Jamaica.
Ah.
So Mark found this coffee bean. He buys it directly from the farmer co-op, so they get a better price for it, and we get a better price for it because we're not going through all the intermediaries. Is that the right word? Yeah.
That's very right word.
Yeah. So we get a good price, but we buy the coffee bean green. We bring it to Belize duty free, and we process it and roast it here. And then we package it under our label, which is the Treatery Cayo Brew, Cayo Roast. And it works really, really well. It's a wonderful coffee. It's branded locally.
Fabulous!
Yeah. And it's been selling in all of the local stores and gift shops here as well. And it's been received really, really well, thank God.
I was speaking with my friend Mandy today, and we're both coffee fiends, and she brings her coffee in from the States because she wants coffee. So I can't wait to share with her. She can come right here to the Treatery next to Fuego and get it.
The retail price on this, by the way, is $12.50 US for a pound of it. So comparable bean in the States would probably sell for $50, $60, $70. So we're able to bring a very good, a really good coffee bean to market for a lot less than what you would pay for it in comparable type coffee shops.
And the fact that you actually have sourced the bean and you all roasted, I know listeners, you're not gonna be able to see the roasting machine, but you go to the Belize Talk radio site, the album will have the one on Fuego, and you can see this equipment that we're speaking about. The roasting machine is very impressive. Obviously, I'm standing right in front of the espresso machine, which makes me very happy. And everything is done to a exceptional level of quality, and people that know quality will appreciate it, and people that don't know yet quality will taste it and be like, wow, that's interesting.
Honestly, it's hard to go back. I mean, once you've drank a coffee of this quality, you'll go back to maybe something you were accustomed to before it go, that just doesn't taste the same.
It doesn't taste the same.
It's happened to me, so you get quite spoiled actually on good coffee.
Yeah.
And it becomes just a part of your daily routine. And what we've done is created a very low-key, cool sort of, I guess with the pink and black, tried to go back to maybe this sort of fun cute little coffee shop.
Yes.
So with the red and blacks and all of the sheet metal and zinc roofing over at Fuego, sort of hard and masculine in its motif. And then you come over here and it's pink and gray and it's very soft and feminine, and all the pastries and the coffee
and the candy when you first come in. It's like going into even the ceiling and everything it's like going into a candy shop, an old general store, and you get to have this wonderful coffee. And again, even this design of the cabinet that's behind us, you just carried it all the way through. It's very fluid. And I watch design in many different places, and the fluidity is not something that people envision to carry it through, and you did that. It's very fluid.
Yeah, no, like I said, we worked with really cool designers, and we tried to give them what the vision for it was, and they really, really did a good job putting it together.
Yes, they did, for sure.
So we're working now on a third place in Belize City, because we really feel that Belize City eventually needs to become more of an overnight tourism destination. It's starting to bring back that colonial charm. If you think about it, Belize City is a reef city. It's a stone's throw away from the barrier reef. It's got all that wonderful colonial history and great food but it's always sort of been overlooked as far as overnight tourism is concerned. And I think we need to start bringing cuisine and start making that as interesting as it deserves to be as well. So you're going to start to see Belize, I hope, if I have it my way, start to become this really interesting little culinary destination.
And the same goes for people that live in Belize City. They will certainly drive to San Ignacio for a great meal.
Well, they make San Ignacio really, we've seen it, is where they make San Ignacio now a weekend destination, to where some of the Belize City, more affluent Belize City travelers would spend their weekends maybe in Mexico or somewhere else. They now start to find that San Ignacio is really, with Fuego, the Treatery, you have Koosh Hana, you have Guavalin, You have, you know, a couple of the hotel restaurants. This is really becoming a culinary sort of epicenter, if you will. I mean, I walk around all the time going, you know, I remember what it was like maybe 10, 15 years ago. And there's a wonderful evolution that seems to be taking place. And we really like the direction in which it's going. And the local government now is working on a river boardwalk. So what you will have is you'll have Burns Avenue, you'll have the park here, you'll have the farmers market, and then you'll have the river boardwalk. So this becomes just this wonderful little downtown area where you'll want to spend your afternoons and your evenings just sort of walking around and making yourself feel at home.
Feel at home. Well, I always feel at home, and now I love being here because I feel very at home with coffee. And did I mention the cinnamon rolls, listeners? The cinnamon rolls are off the hook. I wish I could actually bring the taste and the flavors through the vision of my mouth.
The smell is wonderful right
now.
Yeah.
You know, I can't share that, you know, through a video or through, you know, the radio, but you're going to come in and want to try it. I know that. And you'll be like, oh, Macarena, she was right. And when it comes to food, I'm always right. That's for sure. Because I have that attuned palate for these things that are fine. And, you know, this coffee, you know I'm going to be wanting coffee. I had no idea after all this time that they actually sold the coffee. I just thought you could come and have the coffee. So now I'm excited to have both. And so, oh dear, someone ordered a cinnamon roll. And it wasn't me. So maybe if I'm really good afterwards, oh, look at this, she heard me talk about it. Okay, so now listeners, we have a cinnamon roll in front of me. So if I start drooling or I'm not speaking correctly, it's because it is just, everything is done with such intention here.
Right. Well, and we have a display kitchen, so really I think the fun thing about that is you can actually come in the morning and watch the bakers at work and watch them kneading the dough and watch them putting it in the oven and watching taking it out of the oven. As we get busier here in towards Thanksgiving and into December, we're going to do where we will announce on Facebook fresh oven cam. We're going to do an oven cam where you can see everything coming out of the oven on Facebook. So that should be fun. Then, you know, if you're downtown or in a local business, you can go, okay, the cinnamon rolls are just out. And
I can
escape for a 10-minute break.
I'm on my way. So tell me how people can find you. I mean, we know we're in downtown San Ignacio, but you have a Facebook page. Share that with the listeners.
Fuego actually next door is the #1 followed restaurant in Belize on Facebook. We have, I think the last count, 7,600 friends or followers. And it's called Fuego Belize, Fuego Bar and Grill Belize. And then the Treatery is the Treatery Belize, and it's all on Facebook. The Treatery now has, I think, 3,000 followers, but we only opened the coffee shop maybe 2.5 months ago. So they've become quite popular quite quickly, as you could see with the reception here tonight.
Yes, that's true.
So all we tried to create was, help to give the downtown this cool energy and help to give people a really great, cool, affordable little place to hang out. So what we tried to create more so than restaurants was a hangout for people to come in at 3 in the afternoon, have a $5 snack, a great mojito, come over, have a coffee and a cinnamon roll, and go home happy. And I think we're pretty close.
I think you're very close, by the way, just so you know, because people talk about Fuego all the time. And the Treatery was a great call, because you're right. When people are done having a fine, wonderful meal, and then come over and have a little coffee is fabulous. But the fact that you have this in the morning makes me very happy too.
Yeah, it's open at 7 a.m., which is again sort of a new. There's a cool little breakfast restaurant here called Pops. They're open at 6 a.m., so that's a cool place to get a bite to eat as well. But here we're open at 7, and you can come in, and if all you want is sort of a pastry or a ham and cheese croissant or something small with a great coffee, this is the right place. And then obviously Fuego is open for lunch and dinner, so that becomes more of your afternoon or evening bistro. It's just become this symbiosis that I really like, this sort of yin and yang of the two places sitting next to each other in this beautiful setting.
It is a beautiful setting. You have the, again, the location, and you have the menu, and you have the style, and you have the design, and you have the passion. which
it's
translates.
still there, you know. Sometimes the fatigue sets in, but
It does.
it's still there. And you know, thankfully, when someone like you stops by, it renews that.
Oh, how
excitement
wonderful!
and
How
passion.
wonderful! So you'll have to just let me know when you ever need me to renew that passion for that, because I am all about the food. So tell me, you've done this so successfully and so well, and your passion to do this was to do it obviously intentionally right and well. Is there a Fuego too coming in
No,
soon?
you know what? I think Fuego was meant specifically for this location and specifically for San Ignacio. And what I love about it is exactly what you said, is on weekends, Belize City folks will drive up to come spend the overnight in San Ignacio to eat at Fuego.
Yeah.
So why destroy that? Why water it down? And let's not make it a chain. Let's make it this special little nugget
I like that.
of a place. And so what we have to be brave enough to do is to create independently wonderful little places that have their own personality, that approach food in their own way, and that do things a little bit differently. So the one in Belize City is going to be Belize City's first diner, and that's going to have breakfast all day and that sort of fun approach to food, but very affordable food in a great setting. It's going to be a what we call a Caribbean colonial diner.
Nice.
And it's in the middle of Memorial Park, right on the water. So it's going to be in a stunning location. That's the one thing we've learned is right, location. So that's in a great area in the hotel sort of district in Belize City. But I think as we go across Belize now creating restaurants, we have to go across Belize identifying what fits best where and not try to force Fuego anywhere else. Fuego needs to be this wonderful little place in the middle of downtown San Ignacio that's just for San Ignacio.
That's nice.
Yeah.
It does make it then like we have a destination. You know, you come to San Ignacio and you can go to Calpech or go to Shenandoah or the Big Frog Falls. Those are destinations. So Fuego is its own destination.
It's a little culinary destination, does it?
And so when you do the cafeteria, or not the diner, actually in Belize City, that too makes a destination for the San Ignacioans.
There you go.
To want to go to Belize City.
I want to go to Belize City.
So it does give it a reciprocity, which is always good.
And what makes it great, obviously, for me from a business perspective, is the ability then to really create a culinary school, if you will, where we can now graduate young Belizean culinarians, where we can bring them up through the ranks, where they can start as a dishwasher in Fuego and end up as an executive chef in the diner in Belize City.
Absolutely.
So that's the idea then, is to create a volume of work to allow young Belizean aspiring chefs to graduate as they go through the school of restaurants.
My father owned the restaurants, chains of barbecue restaurants in Florida, as I was sharing with you earlier, and he started me in the dish room.
There you go.
And then I went to waitressing, and then cashiering, and then to the kitchen.
It's the only way to learn.
It is the only way to learn, because if you are wanting your food really quick and you're a server and you don't realize that when you're in the kitchen, you have to time things just perfectly right to come out. You don't know to have that patience.
No.
You may be a patient soul.
You also have to recognize value in what everyone does in the restaurant to make it work. So without the dishwasher doing what he does, without the server doing what she does, it doesn't work, does it? So that's one of the things that's so beautiful about a well-run restaurant, is it becomes its own little village, if you will, where every component has its own unique set of responsibilities, but they all come together like this orchestra, creating what you see in a well-run restaurant. It becomes this sort of little family of young professionals. And in Belize, the most important thing we can do is develop local capacity. And when creating a new industry, which is what this is in effect, is we have a responsibility first and foremost to create a new profession as we're creating this industry, so that it becomes a sustainable approach, obviously, but so that at its core it becomes authentic Belizean, and that's important for our visitors.
Yes.
Because when you come to Belize, you want to experience Belize and its people. You don't want to feel like you're sitting at a McDonald's in New York.
Gosh, no.
And I love McDonald's. So no,
he doesn't mean any disrespect.
Yeah, I don't mean any disrespect.
But you know, when you live in Belize, we wouldn't have that here.
No.
It's
So it has to be authentic
different.
Belize, and the only way, in my humble opinion, it can be authentic Belize is if at its core it is authentic Belizean, and derived and created and delivered by Belizeans. So it's important.
It's very important. I see that you have done this great service of not only bringing a wonderful restaurant, food, the Treatery, all of this put together, a delight in not only just visually, aesthetically, and the food and the drinks, everything complete. You're also doing a great service by helping people have a career, and to be able to be in the restaurant business and to be a server and to be the person that takes care of the dishes and take care of the restaurant. It is a career, and to be able to have the management skills and to learn all these things, who better to do it from Papa?
Thanks.
I think you said that earlier. It's kind of like you want to make sure everybody knows what they're doing, and yeah, so good for you. Well done.
Thank you so much.
Do you feel pride? Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah, no, and all I'm doing is transferring the baton, because Mick and Lucy Fleming, who you know from Treatery, took me in as a young manager when I was 25 years old and showed me the ropes. So it's all about passing the knowledge we acquire from one generation to the other and ensuring that as we go along, the industry gets bigger and better, so that we provide more jobs for our people.
Oh, fabulous.
Yeah.
It does matter. I hired Guido that runs my office at 23. And he's been with me 7 years. And that was to be able to give a career and somebody that you can make such a difference.
Of course.
And you're doing it.
Oh, it's a country of 330,000 people. So very little can go a really long way to making Belize amazing.
I want to thank you so much for having us and welcoming us into your space and sharing it with all of San Ignacio in the world. So listeners, I hope you've been tempted and tasted as much as I am with these treats and the decadence that we've been able to show you and bring to you tonight with Fuego. And you're going to want to come to the Treatery too afterwards for the coffee and the cinnamon rolls. Well, there's lots of treats, but I'm just aficionado when it comes to cinnamon. So I want to thank you for joining us today. It's always an honor to be your host on Macarena Rose for Belize Talk Radio on the Overseas Radio Network.
Alegría Macarena, que tu cuerpo es para dar la alegría y cosas buenas. Dala tu cuerpo alegría Macarena, Macarena. Dala tu cuerpo alegría Macarena, que tu cuerpo es para dar la alegría y cosas buenas. Dala tu cuerpo alegría Macarena.